She came into this world during a time of violence and death in the country of her birth. At the young age of only 8 years old, she quickly learned from her school teachers to run and hide from the soldiers that were looking to kill people like her, whose family was loyal to rebel leaders. She learned to survive. And when she grew up, it was no surprise that she became a school teacher. Like the school teachers that had taught her to survive as a child. At the age of 19, she met and fell in love with a fellow school teacher. They eventually married and had a beautiful baby daughter, and they lived happily. They lived in poverty, but they survived on love and enthusiasm. But for her, it was not enough just to survive. She wanted to live. She wanted to have a great life. So she convinced her husband to go to America. Because in America, there's opportunity to have a great life. She had the same hopes and dreams that Mr. John Park had when he came to America. When they arrived in America, they quickly realized that they had to give up their dream of becoming school teachers because the language barrier was too great. And honestly, even in America, it's tough to have a good life on a teacher's salary. So instead, they took on manual work. She became a housekeeper. Back-breaking work that she did for 27 years. She made decent money. She made enough money to buy groceries and clothing for her kids to support her family. But she sacrificed so much. Her health, her culture, her language, all these things she sacrificed to survive so that her family could live. Who is she? War refugee, survivor, school teacher, wife, immigrant, housekeeper. She was all those things, and she's my mother. I'm very proud of my mother. She lived in New York for 27 years. She raised me and my sister, got us through college. She sacrificed all those things. She survived. What didn't survive was her marriage. After a brutal divorce, it took a toll on her mentally and emotionally. She developed rheumatoid arthritis in her joints. And if you don't know, rheumatoid arthritis is a debilitating disease of the joints. The main causes of rheumatoid arthritis are your body's own immune system attacking itself. And for my mother, this was a difficult concept to grasp because all her life, her body had helped her to survive. And now, it was betraying her. Eventually, my mother moved back to Colombia, her country of birth. She retired. But there, it didn't get any better, her health-wise. After a double bypass heart operation and a hip replacement, she was relying heavily on pharmaceutical drugs. The best ones, the most expensive ones, the ones with the long names that you see advertised on TV like Enbrel, Etanercept. The ones with a long list of side effects, some of which are worse than the disease they're trying to prevent and cure. In the end, none of these fancy drugs helped her and she had to give them up. The pain had become so unbearable for her that sometimes I would call her and she would say to me, "This pain is too much to bear. I don't know why God keeps me alive. I don't know if I can go on." And this was very hard for me to hear because all my life she had been a source of inspiration, positivity, a happy person. Always put a smile on my face, always supported me. And I didn't know what to do. it would have been very easy for my mother to give up her fight at that point, to not go on living, to stop surviving. But she didn't. She changed. She learned. She grew. She stopped taking the drugs, and she looked into homeopathic herbal medicines, and she learned about it. She learned about the ingredients and the side effects on the internet. She became a student of her disease. And when her physical therapist told her that she needed to stop exercising on her stationary bike, that was the only source of exercise that she had to exercise her lower body. She had to stop doing that. And she could have not learned or stopped doing it. Instead, she adapted, she changed. She developed her own exercise where she would lie on her back, on her bed, and put her legs up in the air and kind of move them in a bicycle fashion. My mother did all these things. And I look up to my mother as an inspiration, not because she was a successful achiever. She didn't have a flashy job. She didn't make a lot of money. She came to America, but she wasn't successful to outside observers. She's my hero because she learned, she grew, she changed. She never stopped learning because she not only wanted to survive, she wanted to live, to thrive. And she taught me how to do that. She taught me to never stop learning, to never stop growing, to never stop changing, because when you do, you're dying. You're not surviving, you're not living. And for that, I'm eternally grateful to my mother. And I'm thankful that I can share my story, her story, with you. Mr. Toastmaster.